Silver investors, be prepared for moves in the silver price that could leave you rattled. The potential for skyrocketing silver prices, it's real. And in this video, I'm going to give you the reasons and examples why there's no reason why you and me can't expect silver prices to absolutely moonshoot in the coming year, decade. We are in for some great times. Let's get started right now.
Hey everybody, welcome to Around Space, and I hope you enjoy my daddy's show.
And who doesn't like to be amongst friends? Let's go on this moon shoot together. Please subscribe to the channel. That's free as always. Give this video a thumbs up, and super chat, super thanks, PayPal donations are never, ever expected, but always appreciated. So the first thing we're going to talk about is a chart which will knock your socks off when it comes to the price of silver. The young gun guru himself, Tavi Costa, brings us this long-term chart comparing the silver and gold price. And there's three critical things that we want to talk about on this chart. Number one, the yellow line, which is the gold price. Number two, the blue line, which is the silver price. But the real number one is to notice that back in 1980, when the gold price shot up, the silver price far outperformed it. And if we go all the way up to 2011, we also see that when the gold price shot up, the silver price far outperformed it. And when we go to the present day, right now, as we're talking, what we see is the gold price has shot up, but the silver price has yet to catch up or exceed like it did during these previous two periods. Now, there's no guarantee that that's going to happen, but based on what we know about the relationship between gold and silver, it's a likelihood that we'll see that in the future. That would bring the silver price, as you see over here on the left, all the way up to $50. But if it overshoots, well, it could be off the top of your screen, something like $80, $90, $100 per ounce silver. Two other critical things to think about. When we look back at 1980 and we look back at 2011, we did not have the China story. We did not have the India story back then. Those countries were much smaller and much less significant players in the silver market as compared to now. We know that India in 2024 could be on pace to import well over 250 million ounces, 30, 35, maybe even 40% of the world's total silver output alone, and that's just India. We know what's going on with China. They're buying silver concentrate directly from Mexican miners. So think about that when you look at how silver performed during these previous two periods relative to now. The other important thing for us to remember is that also back in 1980 and even in 2011, the prospects for silver demand were nothing like they are now. Electric cars, solar panels, you name it, all these emerging technologies, artificial intelligence, microchips, they weren't anything like they are now. We are truly in a different paradigm. And on top of that, we know the world is bifurcating. We know that the BRICS countries are setting up their own metals exchanges. When I look at this chart, I'm more optimistic than ever about silver, but we've got even more to talk about. If you're even half as optimistic about the silver and gold price in the future and want to get your hands on some silver and gold right now, please support channel sponsor Pimbex, P-I-M-B-E-X. They're an online bullion dealer. You'll find three things at Pimbex. Number one, a great selection. Number two, prices that are ultra competitive. And number three, a company that a lot of people trust, and we'd like to add you to that growing list. I trust Pimbex. You need to discover that for yourself. Do your own due diligence. But if you do decide, right, that you want to add to your precious metal stack and you're going to purchase some bullion online, please do yourself a favor, right? Check out Pimbex. I think you'll be as impressed as I was the first time I checked out their website. Now, the next big factor that will impact our friend silver going forward is the gold to silver ratio. And we have some astounding information to talk about in that regard as well. Our friend Rashad Hajijev has this to say. This is what I expect from the gold to silver ratio over the next 3 to 9 months. Initial target in the 60 area and then sub 40. Guys, we are right now sitting at an 80 to 1 range in the gold to silver ratio. Yes, it takes 80 ounces of silver roughly to get yourself 1 ounce of gold. What he says is a breakdown of this ratio will ignite a bull run in silver. And take a look at this chart. We've got a wedge pattern, which he sees breaking down lower. Well, it's not just him seeing it break down lower. It would be history. This 80 to 1 silver to gold ratio that we're sitting at right now is historically high. We look back thousands of years, the ratio was probably closer to 7, 8, 9, 10 to 1. Yes, 10 ounces of silver would get you 1 ounce of gold. And even in recent history, it's averaged around 50 or so. Just to give you an example, if we took a rather conservative approach to the gold price at $2,500 per ounce, and we had a 50 to 1 ratio, meaning you would only need to trade 50 ounces of silver to get 1 ounce of gold, that would give us a $50 gold price right now as you and I are speaking. Have you considered the massive short position in the paper markets, the COMEX and the LBMA, the London Bullion Market Association, on silver? Some people say it's as high as 700 million ounces. Whatever it is, 200 million, 700 million, those contracts will need to be covered. And what does that mean? Well, that's just a fancy way of saying that since they sold silver short, and some of it did it naked short, they're going to have to buy silver back. We could have a short squeeze in silver sometime in the next year. Take a look at this. Make gold great again. Put this on X. Careful, silver shorts. And there's the Temple of Doom guy looking into the 707 million silver shorts. Shorts safely covered. Everything's fine right now. Just one false move and you've got a little trouble on your hands, a silver squeeze with all the other factors on top of it. Right. The silver short position alone could add a lot of fuel to a potential silver squeeze in the future. Don't forget, just within the last 2 years, we had a breaking of the nickel market. Yes, that nickel, right? The metal nickel on the London Metal Exchange. And it created a short squeeze havoc situation, which required them to shut the market down for a few days. Will we see that in silver? And you know, on top of it all, we are consuming more silver right now than we are producing. You and I know that. But guess what? The mainstream is starting to catch on. We're seeing that mentioned more and more and more in articles on Bloomberg, Reuters, Yahoo Finance, CNBC. And when more and more people begin to realize that the world is consuming way more silver than is being produced, and there's only so much in that silver slush fund, the above ground excess, eventually that runs out and we get into a very precarious situation in the silver market. It is going to be crazy. Whether we look at history, 1980, 2011, the performance of gold relative to silver, whether we look at the gold to silver ratio, history there, whether we look at any of these astounding factors, the massive short position, we are in for a good ride in the silver market. I could be wrong. Don't make any financial decisions based on anything I'm saying, but I see it very clearly. I want to say thank you to First Mining Gold for sponsoring Ron's Basement. If you want gold in the ground, 2 development stage projects in Canada, both with multi-million ounce deposits, you can learn more about them at firstmininggold.com, and our friends at Fortuna Mining. They're mining silver and gold in Latin America and gold in West Africa. You can learn more about them at fortunamining.com. I'm not giving financial advice. Those are both stocks that I personally own. Do your own due diligence. We're going to have a fun time watching the silver price in the coming months, quarters, and years. We're going to do it together. Don't forget, leave a comment, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for being here, and I'll see you, yes, you, next time.